Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Thanks a lot, Jess, and thank you for tuning into the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. I'm Rich Walsh. She'll be joined by Chris Adamski right now over in the studio. And Chris, I got Bucco fever. Now I have pennant fever. The Pirates are 2-0. The Battling Buccos might not lose the season. I love it. I'm excited. They're hitting the cover off the ball right now.
I love the enthusiasm. Just like I like the Duquesne enthusiasm, I like the Bucco enthusiasm right now. 2-0. They're doing things the way the bullpen was supposed to be a strength. What is it, 10 scoreless innings now so far with only 3 hits? Oh, not scoreless. They let up 1 run, kind of a garbage run here late in this tonight in this last game. A 1 run and 10 innings, I believe, now from the bullpen, which was supposed to be a strength as it was. He had 3 home runs the first game. This game, no home runs, but still end up with 7 runs overall. That shows sort of a versatility in the offense. Marco Gonzalez,
or Martin Perez.
Martin Perez, I'm sorry. Martin Perez.
I mean, yesterday Keller struggled. A little better start here today. They need to get starting pitching help. That's the biggest, I think, hole right now for this team. I mean, look, I know it's not going to last just like it didn't last year. I'm a realist. I have them at 80 and 82. I think they're a potential 500 team, maybe make a run at a wild card.
Yeah, they're definitely better. It is the weak division. You never know what can happen. I've been saying, they were like 16-1 to win the division. I think they have a much better chance than that, what the odds were for that, or what the Vegas odds were with that. They will be around that 80-something win mark or whatever, and we'll see. If things fall their way and break their way and they win some one-run games, and maybe they are right in contention. All it takes these days is 84 wins. Last year, a team made the World Series, made the playoffs. The Diamondbacks were the final seed in the National League playoffs. So if they can even be near 500, that means by that rationale, they'll be in contention well into August then, which is all we really ask for around here, at least for now. And if you see that kind of progress and you see some of the young guys, the young pitchers, and they get better throughout the season, and Skeens comes up and shows what he should be, and then by 2025 they can really be excited for contention. But hey, they're 2-0 right now. It's off to a good start, and we'll see how long it lasts. But for now, you can feel. I think it's the first time in a while, and I know they started 20-8 last year, and that was a surprise. But I really believe there's legitimate cause for optimism to think this team can be better. These Pirates can be as good as maybe a Pirates team has been since the end of the original Andrew McCutchen era in 2015 when they last made the playoffs.
Hey, it'd be really nice if they were 5 to 10 games over 500 by the time Paul Skeens came up here. Then you would see a lot of excitement. I know it was kind of false optimism, I feel like, last year because you were just waiting for the sky to fall. At least I was when they were 20 and whatever. They couldn't keep it up. Like the expectations were too high at that point. But people got on the bandwagon. And then all of a sudden, as good as they were in April and, they were that bad in May. So, I mean, let's hope they can get off to a good start because this team has to get off to a good start. In order to really be competitive, because you want to hold on to some of these guys that you have. And if they don't get off to a good start, they got a lot of guys on one-year deals that are probably going to be traded away. So I would love to see, and I think a lot of people around here would love to see competitive baseball again. All right, we got to take a break, Chris. Back in a couple minutes with your phone calls, 412-575-2600. All right, welcome back to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. This is our GMC tweet of the night from Joe Block of the Pirates. Pirates bullpen in 2024. There it is, 10 innings, 2 singles, no runs. So pretty solid start for the Buccos bullpen. Also the offense, and that's what I'm most encouraged about because that's how they're, more than likely, if you look at this starting pitching, that's how they're going to have to win the games because I don't know what you're going to get from Bailey Falter or Marco Gonzalez or those guys. That's when I start to worry about things. But so far, so good. One more in Miami. Then you got the Nationals. Then you're at home against a really legitimate Baltimore team.
Jared Jones start tomorrow, the Major League debut. With, of course, a lot of attention on Paul Skeens, with good reason, number 1 overall pick. But you got another rookie pitcher who's been a highly thought-of prospect for a long time, who had a spectacular spring making his debut. If it wasn't for Paul Skeens, I think a lot of more people would be talking about this, be pretty excited about this. As much as pitching prospects come up over the years, if it wasn't for Skeens, we'd be talking about this tomorrow. So it should be interesting to see if he can come out and really show and be sort of not a phenom maybe as a rookie, but be a star rookie pitcher for you. Then they really start to get interesting with the Buccos. Yeah,
definitely interesting. So, all right, now to your forte, the Steelers. They're making some moves here. They made some moves in the offseason. The quarterback room has improved. Also, there's reports out there that they're meeting with Michael Penix Jr. I saw that coming out of Washington, right? Which I don't understand that, because I would think the Steelers have 3 quarterbacks. They're going to get 4 for training camp, right? I mean, that's what even Omar said that. They'll add 1 more. But I didn't think that they would be in contention for a quarterback early on, like a Michael Penix Jr. Maybe is this just doing your due diligence in case he falls to the 3rd round, and maybe that they would pull the trigger there?
Yeah, I think you still have to you have 2 guys that are essentially going to be on 1-year contracts. I know they theoretically could pick up the 5th-year option on Fields. I mean, we'll see. But as of now, it's only committed through 2024 on either one of those guys. Either one of them, there is good reason to be optimistic about it. I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer about both of them for totally separate reasons, but there's also reason to believe that neither one of them is going to be the quarterback of the future. So I do think that I know Justin Fields is still only 25 years old, but I still think the Steelers certainly do their due diligence, not use a 1st-round pick. You're right. Michael Penix is a guy who probably certainly isn't going to fall out of day 2, I'm sure. So 2nd or 3rd-round pick, it still seems like the Steelers have too many holes to be taking a quarterback after spending so far the offseason. And Kyle Allen was brought in to be the QB3. You wouldn't really. I don't know why he'd come here to be a QB4, or because if you draft somebody that high, there's no way he's not going to make the team. So usually that 4th quarterback's just sort of a rookie, undrafted free agent type guy, just to take reps during training camp and that. Although now there's no Ben Roethlisberger, the 4th quarterback isn't. Whenever he was in his later years there, as you know, Richie up at Latrobe, he hardly takes any practice reps. You needed that 4th quarterback just to run practices, right, to get everybody else reps. But then, as you recall, with Chris Oladokum 2 years ago, he was the rookie, he didn't get any reps.
Didn't take anything.
Because they
maybe
needed
it's
to get the other
smoke
3
and
guys.
mirrors, Chris. Maybe it's smoke and mirrors. Let's go out to Greg in North Huntington. How you doing, Greg?
Good. How about you?
Good. Thanks for calling.
Hey, Greg.
Hey, what do you think of this rumor of them trading T.J. Watt?
No way. Never going to chance. It's a rumor. I mean, I hate rumors like this. You got these blogs that put stuff out there that have no inside information. They're not you. They're not Mark Caboli of The Athletic. They're not Jerry Dulac. They're not Joe Rutter. They're not any of these guys. Ray Fittipaldo. Those are the guys that would know. Or Tom Pelissero, Adam Schefter, the national guys. If you see those guys put something out, then you start to believe it. But some blogs and some rumors out there from some sites that have no sources or inside information. I mean, that's just speculation and just trying to get clicks.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. There's no reason for it to happen. T.J. Watt's not unhappy here. The Steelers certainly aren't unhappy with him. There's not even a contract really thing looming. Certainly not this year. I guess you could say starting next year, then there'll be up for another extension. We'll worry about that then at that point for the Steelers. Yeah. There's no trade happening. With
speaking of Caboli, we're all friends with him. He's one of the guys that's been all over this Tyler Boyd information and stuff. And I've heard from both sides of the camp. I mean, obviously Tyler Boyd's a local guy, Pitt guy. I know there's some issues that the Steelers are worried about, and that's why they don't want to pay him all that money. I think a lot of people speculate, he's a guy that can get, $8 to $10 million a year, but obviously the market's not there for him. I mean, he's on the wrong side of 30, right? He's 30 years old, but he's headed in the wrong direction, and he might be a better or younger version of like an Allen Robinson type player.
Yeah, and the Steelers could use a player like him, but you're right. If you start looking at the money he wants, and the market probably says he should get, although here we are now 2 weeks into free agency, I don't know if he needs to correct that or what, or make sort of a market correction for himself and come to Pittsburgh. And I think the Steelers know George Pickens, assuming he can keep himself in good graces, of course, will be given a lot of money next summer as an extension candidate at that point, assuming everything is still going smoothly as the Steelers' number 1 receiver. Then you start giving the guy who's your number 2 and probably your number 3, ideally, if you're drafting somebody high enough to be a number 2 at some point, then you got to give him that. I could see why the Steelers are reluctant, not even out of what he's worth or what he wants or whatever, just because you're kind of your salary structure, the way it works. And I think by 2025, a guy like Tyler Boyd will be your 3rd wide receiver, as he's been a very good 3rd wide receiver for the Bengals for the past few years here. And that's where you want him to fit. So if you got to give him that kind of contract, I can see why the Steelers would be hesitant to do that.
But isn't he like a Van Jefferson?
Well, I mean, they're different types of receivers for sure. But I think, Boyd has a more consistent track record than Van Jefferson. Van Jefferson's had some good years. I think overall Tyler Boyd has been a better receiver and sort of a more consistent type receiver. But yes, the Steelers have brought in a couple guys like that. I think they would have, if things would have fallen their way, or if they have their druthers, and if maybe the draft goes their way, they'd have a couple better guys than maybe the free agents they brought in so far, and there still is a need there for sure.
Yeah, I'm guessing they draft one in the second or third round. Let's go out to Matt and Butler. How you doing, Matt?
Hey, guys.
Hey,
Hey, Richie. Pirates still have 2 games in Miami. Here's what I like.
Go ahead.
Catcher looks good. Looks very good.
Yeah, you're no doubt about that. The catcher, Henry Davis, he was out of position last year. I think he feels a little bit more comfortable. I know that was a concern, and maybe the Endy Rodriguez injury has really helped him solidify that position. The same with Grandal. Both guys were basically it would have been ahead of him, but now he gets an opportunity. He can hit the cover off the ball. You want his bat in the lineup somehow, and you don't just want it to be a DH. He has a good arm. You don't draft a guy 1-1 to be a DH.
Yeah, you worry down the road. You worry. I'm sure they're in some weird way they're glad for sure to see one way or another. Maybe he will sort of totally tank as a catcher here over these first couple months of the season before Grandal gets back and before Endy Rodriguez doesn't come back this year. Then you'll know next year what to do with him, maybe and put him in whatever DH, whatever it is. But I think it's as good to see if he can be. You drafted him. You're right, number 1 overall. The reason he had such a appeal at number 1 overall is to be a catcher and have that kind of offensive production. That's the ideal course of action. And then you worry about next year. Same thing about people worried about Justin Fields and Russell Wilson in 2025. You let this year play out, and both of them are really good. That's the good problem to have. One of them prices themselves out of the market. It's a good problem to have. If Henry Davis shows he's a really good catcher, Endy Rodriguez, you still believe being a future catcher, that's a good problem to have. When you trade one, whatever it is you do, you move somebody out of position. Worry about that later. But I am interested and intrigued. One of the things I'm looking forward to most this Pirate season is seeing if Henry Davis is an everyday Major League catcher.
All right, we got to take a break. Back to wrap things up, coming up next. Stay right there. All right, Chris, we only have about a minute left, but how about all these experts that said the ACC stunk? I understand that, North Carolina lost, but you have NC State, a team that would have never got in it if they didn't win the conference tournament, and Clemson, both in the Elite Eight.
And Duke's playing right now. I don't know what the score is at the moment, but you could have 3 of the final 8. You had 4 of the Sweet 16. Yeah, the ACC's had a good, and you couldn't even say it was a top-heavy league. That would be kind of a criticism, I think, that the critics said. And NC State's the one making the run when it's clearly the worst team, or the quote-unquote worst team. They won the conference tournament, of course, in the whole amongst the ACC contingent. So yeah, it wouldn't be something if how many Final Four teams they could get in here now too. So I see Jeff Capel's
Pitt should have made it. Pitt should have made it, Chris.
We'll never know how far they could have went this year in the tournament too. That'll be. We'll never know. I think they probably could have. They would have been.
Yeah.
Hey, they beat NC State twice this year, right?
Yeah. Well, we got to go. We're out of time. Thanks a lot, Chris. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Hopefully, we see you guys over at KDKA News after the NCAA tournament.